Hello there, and a big welcome to this BlueVen session on optimizing the continuous flow of customer data within your business. So in the next 20-25 minutes or so, we'll be taking you through our closed-loop marketing methodology that will hopefully help you to manage the continuous flow of data within your business. So my name's Jen, I'm on the marketing team here at BlueVen. I'm actually presenting from our Bristol office here in the UK, and I've got Matt Diamond, who's one of our consultants at BlueVen, here with me today.
Hi everybody.
Thanks very much for joining, Matt. So just a couple of bits before we get stuck in. As always, we take live questions, so do feel free to send them over to us using the GoToWebinar tool that you should be able to see on the right-hand side of your screen. And secondly, for anyone who may miss parts of the demonstration, we will be recording this. And we'll send out that recording to you within the next 24, 48 hours or so. So keep an eye out for that if you want to catch up on any of the content. Also, all the case studies mentioned in the presentation have been attached to the webinar. So you should be able to see attachments on your screen as well and download them there. Okay, so Matt, if you're ready, should we jump in?
Absolutely. So just So I think before we start thinking about optimizing the flow of customer data within our business, it's good to look at a couple of companies who were born customer-centric, so to speak. So both Amazon and Netflix are great examples of businesses that have been designed in this way to focus on the customer and their needs right from their genesis. And in my experience, both personally and professionally as well, it's hard for brands who historically were not designed to be customer-centric to make the pivot to become customer-centric. Now, this can be down to lots of different reasons: legacy systems, legacy processes as well, and culture as well. And this is all of these things are wrapped up in a myriad of other reasons that are specific to each and every business. As we can all see from our local high streets or our local town centres, re-engineering the foundations of a business is a lot harder than starting afresh in most cases. But the impact upon businesses who don't undertake the project to pivot to customer centricity in a closed loop approach is all too evident when we look at the list of businesses that are no longer with us compared to just a few years ago. So as we all know, connecting marketing teams and customers in a timely, meaningful and relevant way is becoming an ever-growing challenge in today's multi-channel world. So by talking to and taking the feedback from hundreds of CMOs, both across our own client base and the wider industry as well, we've developed the approach to solve this disconnect between customers and marketing. And this is what Jen and I are here to talk to you about today. So gaining insight into how customers are interacting with your business across all of your channels is a really big challenge. Not only that, but deploying the business's memories of a customer interaction stored in all of those different operational systems to better engage the customer in a more personalized and relevant way is hugely complex, especially once you grow beyond a single channel and a single operational system. And to illustrate this, customers really expect their experience of your brand or any brand to be in perfect synchronization with their previous interactions, regardless of the device they use, their physical location, or any other variable that you care to name. So, how many systems does a business tend to use? Getting a real definitive answer to this question really is not easy. But for the purposes of today's webinar, we can consider that every sales channel has a system, whether that's a website or e-commerce, for example, point of sale, as well as each communication channel as well. That could be your ESP, your SMS gateway, two other examples. And on top of those, we also have the other back-end operational systems like a logistics system or a ERP or a CRM solution that house customer data, and we've got to be aware of those as well. Essentially, the answer that most businesses give when I pose them this question is, well, it's a lot more than I want to think about. And to this end, that response illustrates the problem that we have. Businesses are collecting vast amounts of data on their customers, as well as all the other aspects of their individual business operations. But in our experience, only about 10% of the business's data wealth is ever actually going to be used to inform marketing. And this realistically is really for two reasons. The organization has either forgotten, in inverted commas, about the data being collected, could be part of a failed project, or the data or the systems collecting the data could just be lost in the turnover of systems and staff over time. Or the business just can't get to the data that they have to be able to make good use of it. And it's this second problem that a customer data platform helps to overcome. So as we all know, customers interact with businesses using a number of different channels, such as email, online browsing and purchasing, social media, and through offline channels as well, such as going into physical store or other types of physical premises, or phoning up a call center, for example. Now, these channels push the data that they capture into a number of channel-specific operational systems that by their very nature just don't communicate with one another. They also store all this data in the way that's most appropriate for that system or for that channel, which doesn't lend itself to providing insight into the customer. Even if the business has chosen to try and resolve this through the implementation of something like an ERP solution or a CRM to assist with collating some of this data and insights. When we're talking about ERP or CRM instances, they really struggle to provide a single source of the truth or a complete view of the customer with the detail required to empower marketers to actually deploy omnichannel customer journeys and customer experiences. And further issues with systems like this are around things like the data's persistency and all of the different interlinking data refresh and data update schedules that can mean the data is never completely in sync across all of the different siloed systems. And this makes the job of the marketers even more difficult, especially when combined with the fact that actually getting the data out of some of these systems, especially highly customized examples of CRMs, for example, or older legacy platforms, it can be incredibly difficult and incredibly time consuming. And the knock-on effect for marketing is that it leads to longer lead times for marketing initiatives to be developed and deployed, resulting in campaigns and journeys and other communication touchpoints that are using old data, so to speak, that will have lost some, if not all of its actual relevancy to the customer. And again, the knock-on effect of this is that all of these different things lead to campaigns and journeys being built and being executed. And they're automatically going to be less effective due to that leveraging of out-of-date insights. Now, an example of this would be the work that we at BlueVenn have undertaken with automated distributor IM Group. So our initial conversations were around the unification of data from across their business and from across all of their different franchise partners. So prior to BlueVenn's involvement with IM Group, marketing was managed by each individual franchise or individual dealership as part of a highly siloed marketing approach, leading to no centralized data sharing, and customers and prospects as well were receiving highly conflicting messages based upon each individual franchise's limited view of them rather than a holistic overview. So by working to create the robust data foundation that we've been discussing, the team at IM Group were not only able to actually understand their customers better, but they were able to provide that insight back to the actual individual franchises, as well as being able to use the insight that they could derive to provide a highly personalized online experience across their multiple communication channels. And by solving the data issues, IM Group were experiencing and really implementing a true omnichannel approach. Metrics such as the ones on the screen, 320% increase in test drives and 160% increase in sales were realized. And I personally believe that it's metrics like these and numbers like these that truly illustrate the power of solving the foundational issue of disconnected data.
So Matt, I just want to interrupt slightly. So as I said at the beginning, I have included attachments of all the full case studies for all the companies that we mentioned throughout this presentation. So there is an attachment for the Subaru case study, and feel free to download now if you wish.
Thanks, Jen. So if we take a step on then from you're looking at where all the data resides, we can start to talk about how we can bring data together. So to create that single source of the truth, so to speak, we need to feed data from all of these individual operational systems and different data silos around the business into a customer data platform or a CDP. Now, here, this data is all cleansed, it's consolidated, and through a robust set of automated processes that have been designed to mitigate all of the risks around data processing, especially those associated with lots of extensive, time-consuming manual processes, we're starting to actually have that robust foundation. So by cleansing, standardizing, matching, merging, deduplicating, and doing this to all of the business's data, marketers are actually being provided with a single golden record for each customer as part of the single customer view, or SCV, that is produced by the CDP or customer data platform. And it's this robust, trustworthy data foundation that can then be used to underpin marketing activities and other customer data-driven business departments and their activities, providing that centralized, holistic data foundation that can permeate across the business that many modern organizations are actually searching for. But not only can this data foundation be shared across the organization, but with full traceability and transparency at every step being provided by the customer data platform. Every step of the process, all of that full data governance is enforced automatically, and is also providing for easy reporting and serving of things like data access rights under different pieces of legislation such as GDPR here in Europe and the upcoming CCPA, or California Consumer Protection Act, in the US as well. Now, when we talk about customer data platforms and single customer views, it's really key to sort of differentiate which is which. So to be very clear, the customer data platform is that set of risk mitigating, governance enforcing, fully traceable, automated processes that go together to create the single customer view. So in other words, the CDP is the set of processes on the left, and the SCV is the output from those processes. And it's the processes within the CDP that ensure complete data persistence and accuracy, while also providing the ability to create multiple views of your data depending upon the needs of the business. So, for example, the ability to feed cleansed data back into a CRM, or feed that cleansed data to another department, as well as provide the single customer view and all of the golden records contained within that up to the marketing team. But once a business has this view, they can then actually move on to enhancing the data that they have by adding in things like socio-demographic or firmographic information from different third-party providers, Axiom or Experian are two potential examples. This can even go as far as adding in a business's own specific enhancements. So things like bespoke market research that's been conducted, or any other form of highly specialized or vertically specific data enhancement that might be required. And doing all of this before serving this enriched view to the customer and up to the marketing team. But the closed loop approach that we're discussing here doesn't actually stop at providing a cleansed and enriched, trustworthy data foundation just to marketing. So once that golden record has actually been presented to the marketers, it's how they actually want to work with that data. They want to be able to iteratively analyze the data and use it. And how this is done is actually really key, as marketers want to be working with all of their data. They don't want to be working with aggregations of data or summarized data subsets, for example, as this can remove those granular levels of detail that are required to actually ensure the accuracy of analysis and reporting and all of the subsequent insight that is being derived from all of these activities. Now, where all of the data is made available to marketers and then used to drive reporting and analysis, these marketers are able to actually understand how customers have engaged with the brand across all of the different campaigns, all of the different channels, all of the different touch points within the journeys, and provide that holistic overview of every interaction the business has had with the customer. Now, I want to take a pause here and talk a little bit more about reporting and KPIs. So when we talk about reporting, there are so many business-specific reporting requirements to consider. But not only that, many businesses have already invested to some greater or lesser degree in reporting capabilities through BI and MI tools such as Tableau, ClickView, Power BI. And they've built teams and business functions around these tools as well. And one of the key things with the CDP is that it should allow any business to leverage the investments that the company has made in these areas and not require them to change tool sets completely. So the real key thing here is about an open connectivity infrastructure, and that's true for reporting, but also for channels, as we'll see a little bit later on as well. But concurrently to this, the value a CDP brings can also be seen through the harmonization of the data foundation that underpins BI and reporting. What I mean by this is that the same data foundation that is being used for analysis and reporting, as well as to drive actions and insight as part of the marketing strategy. This shared, probably truly harmonized foundation, it removes the data disparities and ensures complete alignment between the operational systems and the reporting systems, removing those awkward conversations about data accuracy and cleanliness, or the validity of the data extraction work used to actually underpin the analytical activities that have been occurring. Now, once we have derived all our communications, we've gained our insight into our customers. We've looked at how we've communicated with them. We've looked at their behavior. We've looked at their responses and how they've actually worked with all of the offers that we've sent to them. Using all of this basis for segmentation and targeting really does become the next step. So by being able to utilize not only the marketer's own empirical knowledge of their customers and their data and their strategies, but also to involve machine learning and data science decisioning as part of this process, targets and segments can be as broad or as granular and with as little or as much human intervention as is actually required.
Okay, so let's take a moment to discuss the importance of taking control of your custom insight and analytics. So here at BlueVenn, we're often talking to brands about the struggles that they face when it comes to having control over that customer analysis and insight. So take the White Company as an example, great example. They always had used an agency for their database management, audience selections, and customer insight. Now this caused two main issues for them. So firstly, they were unable to drill down and analyze what customers were doing in a timely fashion. And you can imagine how that went. So perhaps they had an inkling as to why they had a rise in sales for a particular product. So perhaps they requested a query from their agency. Now that may have taken a couple of back and forth emails, and then a few days later, they received stats proving their theory right or wrong. And then from there, they figure out an appropriate campaign to go forward with. So we know that this process used to take them at least a few weeks. Their second issue was their inability to pull last-minute campaigns and insight together. So working reactively rather than proactively can be an issue when relying on external teams for customer insight. So back in 2010, after experiencing unparalleled growth within its business, they decided to bring an analytics solution in-house so they could take back control of their customer insight and analytics. So what happened next? Well, it's no surprise that they were able to reduce campaign time. And as you can see on the screen, they did this and they decreased it from roughly a couple of weeks to a matter of days. They're also able to use geographical data around each store's customer base and overlay this with the related rates of new customer acquisition.
And I think to that point as well, Jen, I think using the outputs of targeting and segmentation activities, marketers are then looking to build out their choice of those multi-touch omnichannel customer journeys, much like the White Company. And it's these journeys that can be configured to deliver timely and relevant messages to the target audience, leveraging the insight but created by really the construction of the golden record, but also its analysis as well for each and every customer. So a lot of the conversations that I have around starting the customer journey and campaign planning tend to center on the ability to accurately coordinate the delivery of messages across channels using really an up-to-date view of the customer's behavior and their engagement. So an example of this would be the desire to start with an email delivery, let's say on a Monday, and wanting to follow that up, initially with a social media post on a Wednesday, for example, but base that social media post upon the level of engagement that the customer has had with that particular email. So centralizing this coordination of all of the touch points and the delivery of all of these touch points and experiences allows for marketers to not only become more efficient in their activities, but also enables easier optimization of each stage of the customer journey as well. Now, if I'm unsure that following up my email, for example, with a social media post is the right thing to do, I can actually choose to optimize my channel mix by iteratively testing how individual message and channel combinations contribute to my journey and its desired outcome. Be that comparing following up over social media with following up via a second email or over an SMS or a phone call, my options for this are pretty much endless. So by being able to communicate with customers through their preferred channels and closing the loop, so to speak, marketers are able to communicate and continue making better informed decisions based on their customers' interactions and engagement. But at the same time, the profile or golden record for each customer is then being fed by the passing round the loop of the various interactions and all of the other behavioral data points that the individual customer is having with the business. And this is really allowing marketers to enhance the insight that they have into each customer as each individual interaction moves through this closed loop approach. But it doesn't actually stop there though. So as we mentioned earlier on, the ability to provide really up to the minute, highly relevant, highly personalized experiences and communications is absolutely key to ensuring the timeliness and relevance of messages. Now, talking of these real-time communications and personalization, this is something that Space NK, a customer of ours, is really leading the way with. But through having the ability to call upon a unified data foundation for a trustworthy view of their customers. But like the White Company, who we spoke about earlier on as well, they're also being empowered to self-serve their own analytical and reporting needs alongside segmentation as well. And it's really this ability to cut and dice the data and look at the data in many different ways that has enabled Space NK to deploy highly personalized campaigns that connect customers' purchase behaviors with loyalty rewards. And it's these loyalty rewards that are aimed at incentivizing engagement and repeat purchase behavior, as well as rewarding micro-influencer type behaviors as well.
So I'm a massive fan of Space NK and I often shop there. So for those of you listening who also shop there, I'm sure you all agree that the entire customer experience is completely seamless. Well, I think so anyway. So I've actually included two emails on this slide. The one on the left-hand side is actually following up with me on a purchase that I recently made. And they're encouraging me to leave a review, and in return, I will receive extra points on my loyalty card. So of course, I'm going to go ahead and do that to up my points. The second email, the one in black and white on the right-hand side, is updating me on how many points I have on my loyalty card, which is great. And it's reminding me that if I don't use those points, then I'll lose them within 3 months. So of course, this makes me want to go back and visit their store again and make some additional purchases, which, if you read the email on the screen, if you can see it, it actually reminds me that these points end next month. So this weekend, I better pop into Space NK and make some purchases.
So I think in summary then, the insight that businesses can derive into customers via data is highly valuable. And a lot of people I speak to would actually say it's the most valuable asset a business can have. And as many of the conversations that I have in my day-to-day activities illustrate, it's the ability to connect customers and marketers through a real centralized data foundation being delivered by that robust customer data platform and the subsequent single customer view. And it's the subsequent provision of the golden record through the single customer view for each customer that enables businesses to truly become not only data-driven, but customer-centric as well. And it's by taking these underpinnings of data and actually combining them with software that's been designed to give marketers unparalleled access to their data. It's about empowering these marketers to then cater to the communication and experiential needs of their customers, whilst closing the loop, as you can see on the screen here, and ensuring complete accuracy, timeliness, and relevance of each and every touch point at every stage of the customer journey.
Awesome, thanks Matt. So we're now going to move on to the Q&A section of the webinar. Bear with me just a few moments. Okay, just getting up the questions. Okay, first one we're going to answer. How are we able to achieve this if we don't have the resources in-house, Matt?
So I think many CDP providers, including us here at Blue Ven, we're able to offer a flexible deployment model that allows you to essentially lean either wholly or partially on the vendor to deploy a CDP. And that really is one of the main things that helps to reduce the need for internal resources as part of any project. Naturally, there'll be some input, as you'd expect, things like systems testing, but that's kind of the real main way that that can be done.
Awesome. And how long does it take to build a single customer view? So are we talking days, weeks, or months?
So it's actually a really, really great question, but I think the time taken to actually build a single customer view, it's always going to vary from business to business, and it's very dependent on the scope of the solution, as well as actually the volume of data that each individual business has. I mean, for many of our customers, we've had conversations around timeliness and delivering ROI, and we've actually ended up delivering projects through numbers of different phases, and this has allowed those customers to actually hit specific ROI goals, whether they've had certain dates or events in mind, and actually maintain the delivery of that within those particular timeframes.
Awesome. And I think it's important that we answer the next one because this is a frequently asked question. How is a CDP different from a DMP? Right,
that's actually another really great question. So I think speaking in sort of broader terms, because each has a slight different flavor, so to speak, each different provider. But broadly speaking, a DMP is designed to really power online advertising and targeting using specific behavioral data. And the DMP's capability is all about taking lots of organizations' data, combining it all to create an environment where businesses can use a DSP or demand-side platform to channel creative as an acquisition medium, and do that with the aim of actually targeting both that business's customers and other businesses' customers for acquisition. But I also think as well, I mean, if you're looking to really utilize all of the different data points you've got within your business and using them to fuel just digital advertising, then that's what a DMP is perfect for. But I think when we talk about the difference between a DMP and a CDP, it's the CDP, on the other hand, is actually designed to provide that single unified data foundation to underpin all of the different marketing activities. And this is from analytics to segmentations, we covered reporting, through to actually providing customer journeys across all of the different channels. And I think to be really clear, Jen, I think in the eyes of a customer data platform, that a DMP is just another channel in the same way that your email service provider or your SMS gateway would be. Mm-hmm. But I also want to say this as well, is that CDPs and DMPs actually work really, really well together in a lot of the businesses that I've worked within as well. So something that anyone who's asked that question or is thinking about using them in conjunction with another should definitely consider. Oh, I think this actually might be one for you, Jen. It's a question here. So are we going to be able to make the slides available after the presentation?
Yes. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we have recorded the session and all registrants will receive the recording in the next 24 or 48 hours or so. So if you want to catch up on anything, then watch out for the email. It will be sent into your inbox very shortly.
So Jen, I just wanted to ask as well. I mean, if our, we've had some other questions that we've not managed to get to because of time, but if our audience wanted to find out a little bit more about sort of unifying their data and obtaining that trustworthy customer view, or actually looking to take back control, much like White Company did, of all of their analytics and segmentation of journey planning, is there a way that they can actually go about requesting more information or potentially booking a demonstration at all?
Yeah, sure. I would suggest going to bluevend.com. If you'd like to book a demo, then you just need to go to bluevend.com/demo, and we can book you in with one of our consultants to give you a little more in-depth information. And also, we've got tons of great stuff under our resources tab. So we've got loads of great ebooks that cover all of the subject matters that we've discussed in this session, plus tons more case studies that we've produced. If you haven't already, make sure you download the attachments that I've linked to this webinar. And yeah, loads of great resources plus more webinars. So make sure you head there, and hopefully we'll be speaking with you soon. Thank you so much for joining us today, and yeah, hope you enjoyed the session, and thanks Matt for presenting.
No, not a problem at all, it's been a pleasure. Thank you everybody.